Hey, what's up, Grace Church? This is Scott, and this is the week of August 7th, believe it or not, and I want to welcome you to the Weekly. We're going to continue this short series called The Storm-Tossed Family. Last week, Pastor Josh talked about marriage under the design of what God had designed for us. We were way back into Genesis and the creation story. And now we're shifting and we're talking about what it means to live as a full family with kids. And so our topic is about parenting. So on Sunday, we went through one of Paul's really popular passages and a letter to the church in Ephesus. We're in chapter 6 of Ephesians, and it's really honed in and focused on, and you've probably heard this verse so many times, but it's focused on what it means to live with kids and parents at home, and this idea of harmony and honor and obedience and how we should live together with our kids in the context of parenting. He gives us some really practical teaching on how we as Jesus followers and within the design of how God has formed us as a family, how we would live in everyday lives. You know, how parents and kids should live together, and it is not easy. So Paul says things like, hey kids, I want you to obey your parents. Like straight up, it's pretty clear. Here's some instruction, obey your parents. And then and further, I want you to honor your mother and your father. You should be doing that. And then he kind of picks on dads a little bit in, I think it's verse 6, and he says, fathers, don't provoke your children to anger. Like you shouldn't be provoking them. That was kind of the thing of that day, which is kind of a thing in this day too sometimes. And then at the very end, I want to read this together. The very end of verse 6 in chapter 6, he says something that I want to focus on, and this is what he says. He says, I want you, father and mother, but parents, bring your children up in the discipline and in the instruction of the Lord. And so just like Pastor Josh last week, he talked about how to guard and garden our marriage. I want to take those concepts and apply it to parenting as well, because these two words, discipline and instruction, from that verse have to do with guard and garden. The word instruction is really important. This word from the Greek means to avoid certain things, means to go around certain things, not do certain things. And so that's the term we use for guard. And so the question is, how do we guard our children? And this is what we talked about on Sunday. We want to guard our children from being disciplined by anything other than the Lord, right? So this is the reality. The reality is our children are influenced and really even discipled by so many things other than us. And so we need to guard against certain things. And I want to think of it in three ways. Guard against what our children see, what our children think, and what our children do. And so the first one is see. What I mean by that is we want to limit and teach, we want to limit what our children see, and we want to teach them why. It's not enough anymore to just say, because I said so. And I get caught doing that a lot because I get annoyed that my kids are always questioning me, why? But we want to limit what they're exposed to, what they're looking at, what they're hearing even. We want to limit what they see, and we want to teach them why. Why is it important to limit what they're exposed to? And we want to teach them those things. So that means phone usage, the use of technology, social media. If you have a little bit of older kids, if they're on social media, we want to limit those things. Movies and entertainment and television and all, even music, you guys. This isn't a legalistic thing, this is a wisdom thing. So we as parents, we want to know what they're exposed to, and we want to limit what they're exposed to. Teach them the dangers of those things. The second thing we talked about is to think. We want to guard our children's minds and what they're focused on, what they're thinking. And just like you and I mean, we're adults, we need to take captive, as the scripture said, of every thought, and we need to really monitor what we're focusing our minds on. The same thing with our children, and it starts young. Because it's true, if we have a problem taking our thoughts captive and with our own minds of where they go, how much more do we need to form our children up and guard them from those negative thoughts? The third one is do. We need to guard our children in what they're doing, their behaviors, and what they're involved in, and those type of things. We need to teach them that what to do and what not to do by creating healthy boundaries for them. That's our job as parents, how to guard them for what they see, what they think, and what they do. The second piece of that is how to guard and how to intentionally invest into our children. So then this question is, how do we garden our kids, right? How do we nurture and invest into our children? The first one I talked about is about discipleship and not discipline. That doesn't mean don't discipline, but we need to reframe and reorient our minds to think about our job as parenting and gardening and nurturing and growing our kids as a method of discipleship. We need to disciple our children. The second thing that I talked about, a method and way to garden our children, is that it's about us being a resource for them and not the source. Meaning we're creating them, we want to grow them into independent children or independent adults, not dependent adults. And so our job is to grow them to be less and less dependent upon us and more independent. And then the last one, we want to garden them through their integration into a faith community. That means church, you guys. That means going not just on Sunday, but being involved in a faith community where the influences are from Scripture and faith in the Lord through the people and of community that you've surrounded yourself with. Integrate your children in the life of the church. So guys, if you're a parent, or even if you're not a parent, the idea of family is a difficult one, but an amazing one. So I hope this helps you guys, and I want to turn it over to your leaders so you guys can discuss.